everyone, to today's Daily Tune-In. It is Wednesday, October 27th, and we are still moving through quite a bit of energy, and it seems very repetitive to keep saying that over and over because it has been kind of the language for the last year, but it's especially ramping up. And we are going to be in this for a little while. I don't know what that time frame is, but it's going to be, it is our new normal. So I wanted to just check in on the Schuman Resonance because we do have some activity there. And then I'm going to do something a little bit different with our message for today because I've gotten a couple of questions through DMs on some of the comments from the videos of the last couple of weeks, and I figure if these are questions that one or two people have, that they're probably questions that you have as well. So I want to just share some of those insights as well. So let's first check in with the Schuman Resonance. All right, here is today's Schuman Resonance, and as you can see, we have quite a bit of activity that's been coming in 15, 16, 17, probably about the last 17, 18 hours. And it's quite interesting because as you can see, typically we have these, these kind of cleansing blasts, and then we have these times in between where we integrate. This is all of it at the same time. So we are not only almost getting consistent blasts of this high photonic energy, but we're also getting these, see the green static is what I call it, underneath it, which is that healing energy. And these red splotches are those things that are literally, not literally, but that are being zapped, those densities that are getting a good old zapping. So we kind of have it all going on at the same time, which makes it extremely intense. And I think I said on Monday we were going to have quite an intensive week this week with energies, and we had, I think, 2 or 3 additional solar flares that came up with my phone yesterday after I did the recording. So those are going to be flooding in as well. And we already have the first one that's going to be coming in Thursday and Friday. So all of this stuff is really, it may just be the beginnings of those flares hitting us. But really, it's here a little earlier than we expect. So this is a lot of just I believe that it's help from those beings that we've been talking about. But no matter where it's coming from, the Schuman Resonance is showing us that if there is anything wonkadoo going on in your body, with you emotionally, this is why. This is showing us there's a lot happening in these in these lower densities. So as you can see, they're in the lower densities of the vibrational hertz. And this is where Earth has been for millennia at 7.8, but she is rising up. And the more she's rising up, she's having to shake loose everything on her that is in that lower density realm. That is causing that stuff to happen with you as well as our collective. So that's going to move us into some of the questions that came up from some comments and DMs that I got on Instagram. So let's get into that. But I wanted to show you this because our collective, not only you, but our entire collective is getting hit in all aspects right now. So a lot of stuff's going to be triggered right now. You're going to see people acting out who aren't conscious of this. There's going to be more fear, more anger. There's going to be a lot more chaos. There's going to be a lot more disruption in a lot of different areas of life. So just pay attention today and start to watch. Observe yourself and observe the collective, because as we can see, there's a lot going on right now. Okay, so now that you know that that's going on, anything going on in your body or in you emotionally is for you to observe, to take care of, and yet also to be at peace with. And I'm not telling you how to be, I'm just suggesting that our culture, our collective teaches us that if something is off, if you're up and down emotionally, there's a problem. If you're feeling stuff in your body, there's a problem. I am not suggesting that you ignore something that might be chronic. I'm not suggesting that you ignore something that does bring you concerns. You, by all means, get things checked out with a doctor or a naturopath, whomever you feel comfortable going to, if there is a concern. And yet, there are also those of us who are have been on this journey. We've led healthier lives. So I personally don't normally get sick very often. I don't, I'll have aches and pains, but there's nothing chronic. So anything that I have been experiencing in this process, I typically will know that this is a symptom of these energies, to take care of myself, and to not only take care of myself, but also to be with the pain. I've mentioned in several times in the last couple of weeks that pain in the body shows up as a root cause or as a symptom of an emotional root cause. So if you're having some fluctuations in your emotional well-being, it may also arise in the body, in the physical body, in some way as well. So for example, I know that, my entire life I've kind of shut down my psychic abilities, and I was never really open about them, simply because they were weird and I forgot about them. And then as over the last, 5 years or so, they've really come awake. And this past year, even more so. So there's a lot of cleansing and clearing that's going on as that, for me, as those psychic abilities start to come back and kind of catch up to where my true power lies. Therefore, this cold that I'm having, which is a head cold, which is pretty much this whole area, is no surprise to me. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm allowing it to have its way with me. I've been blowing my nose more than anything. I'm going to be vulnerable. I don't know where all of this stuff is coming from, but there's a lot of gunk that is having to be purged from my headspace in this past week. So if that's some kind of example that you can use, if you have a compromised area in your body, this is the time to get real deep with it. And ask, you can even ask your pain, be with your pain in meditation, and ask, what it's telling you. There is always an emotional root to any pain in your body. It's 100%. So when we get underneath all of it, we can start to eliminate not only the denser emotional trauma that is sitting there and just festering, but then we can also help with the physical trauma that is the red flag that something is needing to be worked out. So let's go to one of the first questions that somebody had, or a comment. And she said, I've been having odd feelings mentally and physically, and really looking for some spiritual guidance and answers. Everything feels so weird at the moment. And I like your page, is what she said. So things feeling weird is true. We're all kind of feeling strange and weird because we are all having to acclimate to a higher frequency of energy that we have never had, we've never experienced in our lifetimes of existence. So the other thing, I'm going to kind of go a little bit, I'm going to stretch you a little bit. But as you can, every single different range of frequency is another dimension, right? It's a dimensional expression of the same moment. So we can have, I'm going to give it like a pretty obvious, an obvious example, but we can be in these lower realms. I'm going to say lower, upper, there's no better, worse. It's just how the language works out. But if we are feeling, in one moment, we're feeling fear, sorry, you can't see that, feeling fear, that's at a lower dimensional reality to the moment than someone who's in that same exact moment right next to you who is in the feeling of joy. they are living a dimensional reality that's different than yours, even though you're in the same now moment. Very different experiences. So as the vibration of our earth changes, we are literally moving into different dimensions of reality. So with the quickness, however, if we have these massive blasts like we're having, we are changing dimensional realities really quickly. So the feeling is we're kind of straddling two dimensions sometimes, two lifetimes. We have this old world that we've been operating in, and this old way of being, and yet the other foot, so to speak, of us is in these higher realms, and we're kind of like feeling a little wonky, a little seasick. That's why nauseousness and kind of feeling imbalanced are some of the symptoms that we're feeling in this ascension process. So things are going to feel weird. We talked a little bit about the emotional and physical aspects and why that's happening. But everything comes down to this being a spiritual experience. We are having to do a pole switch almost from being in the consciousness of being in our physical reality and having that be our guidepost to everyday life, to having to go switch up to the opposite expression of who we are, to our fifth dimensional expression, our spiritual expression, and come from that place and have that be our soul expression is the operating system in which we operate in. So we are having to do a really quick change, so to speak, not all of a sudden, but it feels like that because now we're really feeling the shifts in this energy because we are getting deeper and deeper into that photon belt now, which is speeding up the process in which we're having to acclimate to these higher frequencies. Here's the other question. I thought this was a good one too, because I've had this, I think we all can see this in our own personal lives. She says, I have a few friends who are on the conscious journey, but obviously are not going through the intensity I'm feeling, as you talked about in your video. Are they going to go through the same, but later on? Or is that something unique to the souls who chose this? So this is a really great observation because I think we all, if you're here on these videos, my guess is you're in tuned to this journey. You've been on it for a little bit. You have been doing already doing the spiritual work, whether you knew we were on an ascension journey or not, because I didn't. For a good portion of my own spiritual journey, I didn't even know that terminology. I just knew that I was, being called to transformation because, 13 years ago I walked in on my then husband with another woman in my house, and I had to feel like my world had to be transformed. And that put me on the spiritual path. That was the trigger of transformation to then walk the spiritual journey. So since then, I've been doing the healing journey. I've been, oh look, you see the little orb running around? I love that. So you are probably in a similar boat where you have been on the path, so you've already been doing work. You've been purging your densities. You've been looking at how you've created your life. You've been looking at how you want to intentionally create it. You have been going through the transformational journey. Therefore, you're kind of ahead of the game. There is no one that's more advanced or behind or anything like that, although sometimes it does feel like that. But that's not really the truth. The truth is we all have our own journeys. So even if somebody is on the conscious journey, sometimes it's easy to speak the language, it's easy to know the terminology, but you can still kind of talk the language without really doing the work. So there's going to be different waves of awakening for people. And whether they are aware of it or not, this process is happening. So energies like we're seeing today on the Schuman is going to rock the worlds of people who are still asleep. Because what is happening is, rather than choosing to transform, the world is going to do it for them, right? There's something that always triggers our transformations. And 13 years ago, it was the world came into my life and rocked my world loose so that I had to start rebuilding it. Since then, I've been through other transformations, which I have consciously chosen because I understand the process now. And I'm not afraid of the transformational process, even though it is painful at times. I know that it gets me to another state of being and another state of expression in my life. So for those of us who are on it, we've been doing the work, we are taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and we're allowing these energies to transform what needs to be transformed. And sometimes that means letting go still of that stuff that needs to be let go of, but we understand it, and even though it's painful, we're looking at other people who are still ignoring things, being like, man, these energies aren't even hitting them, but they are. And eventually you can only ignore something so long before then the trigger comes, whatever that is, and their work will begin. And they will either have to come up to speed or continue to ignore it, and it can't be ignored at this point. The body is not going to be able to handle these kind of energies and not be elevated. So if somebody chooses not to deal with their stuff, the body will eventually fizzle out. So there's a lot that's going on here. It is not your job to wake anybody up. We can all try. I think we probably all have, but it is not our job. It is up to them to choose when it's time to start the transformational process, and how they deal with that. If nature takes her course and triggers somebody into transformation to wake them up, whether it's from outside circumstances or in their personal life, that is for them to maneuver at that time. For those who have kind of been on the journey but really not embracing all parts of that journey, they're going to have to start that work eventually. And if you are already been in it and you've been doing the work, keep doing it, because it will get easier. I don't know when that is, and I look forward to it, because there are days where I'm like, this is hard work, but it is. Because this is a state of being that we have never experienced in physical form. There is no one here to teach us how to do this. So we are teaching each other, and we are showing each other how to do it by simply sharing and acclimating these energies in whatever way works best for you, for the good of all. And once we kind of get to the point where we have alchemized and anchored in these higher energies, when the next few waves of people come and they start having to go through transformation, then that is when we step up and start to help more and more people. I am here to help you. If there's anything that is required of you to kind of shake loose some more things, if you're struggling with the same challenge and you need a new perspective, I have both the professional expertise in being a licensed hypnotherapist and a healer in different modalities, as well as personally in my own life. As I said, I've been through transformation that's been triggered from the outside world, and I've been through transformation that's been pretty intense by simply choosing it, because I trust the process. I know this process. I'm comfortable with it, and that's why I do these videos and share these, because this is we are in the transformational process whether we want to be or not. So if you want some extra support, I'm here for you. And if you have questions, please ask. Send them. I love last night I sat in bed for about a half an hour answering people's questions and responding to DMs that I didn't even know were there, because I hardly ever go into my DMs, but now I will. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments or shoot me a DM, and I'll address them on a video. So I hope this helps you a little bit. If you do like this video and it has helped in some way, you can always click the button on this page, and I do accept donations for a love offering in exchange for the value that you're getting out of these videos. Or if you could just share and like these videos, that would be really great too, because we just want to continue to get the word out that transformation is in progress. It's for our highest and best good, and we are here to help those who don't understand what's happening yet. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah! Bye. If today's daily tune-in brought you value and insight,
please consider giving in return for that value by leaving a love offering. All donations go to keeping this platform operating and in service to humanity during these transformational times. To go even deeper into your soul frequency, please consider these offerings. For personal insights into your most pressing questions and concerns, get an energetic insight reading delivered directly to your inbox. To take a quantum leap in your transformation, book a personal session with Vedette. There are several options available based on how deeply you would like to go into your most desired soul-led life. To find more information and to book your sessions, please visit VedetteMayer.com.